to call the meeting to order. So the first thing we're going to do, and we're going to make this just kind of a quick and dirty, but we're going to have a hearing on SB 462. It's a bill that we've already heard, and I'll let Chris give an overview. It had a House bill and they had a Senate bill that came over to us. Chris, give an overview, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee House Bill 462 should be very familiar to you. It's identical to House Bill 2679, which passed out of this committee and passed the House Committee of the Whole 120-0. It would authorize Director of Vehicles to waive the skills test requirements for a CDL applicant that qualifies for a knowledge test waiver under the Military Even Exchange Program. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions regarding the bill? Okay, if not, please review that.
Sorry, Senate Bill 462 also passed the Senate 40-0.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did they do that on the consent calendar? Do you remember?
They did not.
Okay, they did not. All right. And then the fiscal note should be on the S drive. We have written testimony only from Kent Selk and the Kansas Motor Carriers Association. Does anybody have any questions, any discussion? If not, do we have any opponent testimony? Do we have any neutral testimony? If not, I'll go ahead and close the hearing on SB 462. All right, committee, if we get through all of our stuff today, we may not meet next week. The first item that I'd like to bring up for action is SB 424. If you remember right, that's the surveyor's bill. And Chris, would you give us an overview, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 424 is a bill we heard on March 12th. Would establish the Kansas Plane Coordinate System Act. The act would revise the current Kansas coordinate system that was established for in 1927 and 1983 for defining and stating the geographic positions or locations of points on the surface of the earth within the state of Kansas. Bill clarifies that the Kansas Plane Coordinate System shall not be construed to prohibit the appropriate use of other datums and other geodetic reference networks established by a state agency or county, like the Kansas Regional Coordinate System, which was developed by KDOT. The Kansas Plane Coordinate System should be named in any land description in which it's used. And that's about it. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Does anybody have any questions regarding this bill? And this, did you say what this did on the consent calendar in the Senate, what the vote was?
Yeah, it was consent calendar passed 40-0.
Okay. And is there objection by anybody on the committee to putting this on the consent calendar? Okay. Is there any discussion on the bill? If not, I entertain a motion to pass SB 424 favorably and to be put on the consent calendar. Representative Neely?
I move that we pass SB 424 favorably for passage.
And put it on the consent.
Put it on the consent calendar.
Okay. Is there a second? Second is by Representative Ballard. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. The next bill I'd like to bring up is SB 272. This was the bill that changes the funding in the state highway fund. It increases the airport, general public use aviation airport funding on an annual basis. Chris, would you go over the bill?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 272 would have been KSA 75-5061. It increases the annual transfer from the State Highway Fund to the Public Use General Aviation Airport Development Fund from its current $5 million transfer to an increase of $15 million annual transfer. I'd be happy to answer any questions. The Senate Committee of the Whole passed the bill 36-4. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Chris? Okay. Seeing none, I think I'd like to also put this on the consent calendar. Is there any objection to that? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion? Representative Neely?
I move that we pass SB 272 favorably for passage onto the consent calendar.
And the second is by Representative Ballard. Is there any discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. The next item on the agenda is SB 142, and that is the bill requiring the move over law for cars that are done with passengers if they've got their warning lights on. Chris, would you like to give an overview?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 142 is a bill we heard on March 7th. It would require the driver of a motor vehicle upon approaching a stop, standing, or parked vehicle that is displaying hazard warning signal lamps, road flares, or caution signals, which could include traffic cones, caution signs, or reflective triangles, to do any of either of the following on a highway. One, if the driver is traveling on a highway with at least 2 lanes going in the same direction to change, with at least 2 lanes going in the same direction to change lanes away from the stationary vehicle with regard to road, weather, and traffic conditions. The other is if the driver is on a highway with at least 2 lanes at least 2 lanes not going in the same direction, or if changing lanes would be unsafe, then such driver should approach with due caution and reduce speed with regard to road, weather, and traffic conditions. The fine for a violation of the infraction would be $75. And the Senate passed this bill 38-2.
All right, we're on the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? Representative Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify this, that when it talks about exercising due caution when passing stationary vehicles displaying hazard warning lights, that we're not talking about a big yellow school bus that has their lights out, they're flashing, but not red. That's a totally separate issue, correct?
And Mr. Sharon, yes, passing school buses it's under its own statute. I believe it's KSA 8-1556, something around there. So yeah,
I understand that. I just want to make sure that we're not bleeding something over that somebody can say, oh, well, that's the same thing. If they were to violate whatever the reg you just quoted for stop school bus, that there's not a loophole in there, because stop school buses and people that violate or drive past them just drives me crazy. I just want to make sure that that we're not doing anything here that's going to conflict with the statutes you just quoted.
correct. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, since it has passing school bus has its own statute, I don't believe the provisions would conflict at all to negate one or the other.
I will take that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Ballard.
As a clarification, what is the KSA on the school bus?
It is KSA 8-1556.
1556.
Correct.
Representative Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, this is one of those Johnny Feelgood bills because it's going to be a snowball chance in Hades of it being enforced, because the cop's going to have to be sitting there watching it happen. I'm going to vote for it, but it is what it is. It might save a life somewhere down the road.
I agree with you, Representative, but I think it's educational. It helps people learn what good behavior is. Unfortunately, we're not always smart enough. I'm not always smart enough, unfortunately. I think about that so much. I know I move over for those cars a lot more because I know I'm going to get a ticket on that cop car that I don't move over for. Any other discussion on this? All right. So the next part of this, House Bill 2499, which is the bill that we had that we passed out successfully across the House. I think what was the vote count in the House? It was 80 to something. It was 80 to 36. That's the distracted driving bill that passed out of the House. I want to put the contents of House Bill 2499 into this bill, and I would make that motion or motion to amend. Does everybody understand what I'm doing? Sure.
You're going to put 2499 into 140, Senate Bill 140.
The contents. Yeah, it's sitting over below the and it's sitting in House Senate Transportation. They've already passed this 142, and I want to put that bill into this one.
So is it
Yes. Oh, no, it's not a gut and go. It's a go go. It's a vroom vroom. Yeah. Representative Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this a gut and go or is this an addition to?
I was thinking it was a vroom vroom, but anyway, yeah, we're adding
that
the
to
contents.
this. We're not taking this away, right?
Right. No,
All right,
we're not
thank
taking this away at all. We're adding to it. Representative Collins.
So then the way I understand it, that what was it, 2499 House Bill 2499 will still exist, but this will have the contents from that in it as well, right?
Yes, it'll in essence make Senate Bill 142 conferenceable. And then the Senate can choose to adopt or not adopt the contents of 2499 and vote for it in a conference committee.
All right, thank you.
No.
Does anybody have any other questions regarding what I'm doing? Okay, I made the motion. Were you the one that seconded it, Barbara?
Yes, I did.
Or Representative Ballard? All right. Is there any discussion on the amendment? If not, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. We're back on the bill. Is there any other discussion on the bill? Is there a motion to approve the bill favorably as amended? Representative Neely?
I move that we pass HB 2499 as amended.
The SB
Oh,
142.
SB 142 as amended.
And second is by Representative Ballard. All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, the next thing, if we do this, I hope we don't have any more, we don't have any meetings next week. We had a hearing on SB 462, and that is the military even exchange program for CDLs. And I would like to work that today if there's no objection by the members of the committee. Is there any objection to that? All right, so we're going to go ahead and work this bill. What is the that drug and alcohol clearinghouse that had the federal funding attached to it, Chris? It's 24. Can you look it up? I don't have my notes.
2679.
2682, isn't it? Is it 2682? Is there any minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move we go to emergency final action and consider Senate Bill 462 today.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Second by Representative White. All those in favor, is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, it is 2682. Is that correct? All right, so would you give everybody an overview, Chris, on 2682, just so that they understand exactly what it is we're voting on and what it passed the vote count out of the House? All right, Jill is telling me that it passed 115 to 5. 2682 did.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So House Bill 2682 would authorize the Director of Vehicles to adopt rules and regulations for participation in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. It's a U.S. Department of Transportation program for controlled substance and alcohol testing programs for CDL holders. They would adopt rules and regulations for participation and implementation in that program. Would further require that prior to issuing or renewing a CDL or CDL instruction permit, the director shall query the DACH or review the driver's information when notified by the DACH, the clearinghouse, of a status change to the driver. Also calls for the director to disqualify a driver's CDL within 60 days of receiving notice that a driver is in violation of or noncompliance with the DACH requirements. The disqualification will be removed upon notification from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that the driver is no longer in violation of or in noncompliance with the DACH requirements, or if the driver was erroneously identified as such. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Chris on the contents of this bill? And again, it did pass 115 to 5 out of the House when we did it. And so I would make a motion to insert the contents of 2682, add the contents of 2682 into House Bill 462. Is there a second? Second is by Representative Ballard. Representative Melton? Oh, okay. Is there any discussion on my amendment? If not, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, we're back on the bill. Is there any other discussion on the bill? If not, is there a motion to approve Representative Neely?
I move that we pass HB or SB 462 favorably for passage as amended.
Motion is by Representative Neely. Second is by Representative Ballard. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, at this time, I just want to thank all of you for your work and your patience this session. We may not meet again. I want to thank Meg, our assistant, this year for all she's done for me. You know, she's really first year being a committee assistant, picking it up. And Chris and Jill and Colton, I want to thank you for everything. Representative Neely, I want to thank you for your patience dealing with me and all of your good work on the bill briefs. And Representative Ballard, I want to thank you for representing your caucus admirably on the committee. So, and again, I do want to thank all of you guys. I think transportation sometimes is a hard committee because we all drive. And it's established law. So when we make changes, I mean, some of us want to go, why? And some of us are going to go, why haven't we? But really, thanks for your input. And if there's nothing further for the...
Thank you. Well, then I would like to thank the chair. He's done a fabulous job. And we used to sit over there together, and so it's nice to be over here. So I want to thank you for always communicating me, for keeping me informed of where we were, what you wanted to do, what did I do. And then I want to thank my Democrats on here, as well as the rest of the committee, for just being really good members. And I think you did a really good job.
Ditto for my Republican friends. Representative O'Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to thank you for your leadership. I also want to thank the vice chair and also our ranking on the committee. I want to thank the staff as well as my colleagues, especially our Uber driver, right? But no, I want to thank all the committee members for a great session. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? If not, thank you, and we're adjourned.